As the dust continues to settle from Liberation Day, more and more allies and supporters of President Trump are putting themselves out there to defend his tariffs. One of those people is Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary, who appeared on CNN, but something funny happened with his audio. You see, O'Leary was on there debating a whole range of issues, but the moment he started defending Trump's tariffs, well, let's just say things got a little noisy.
Can you defend the tariffs?
You know, I try and focus on the signal, not the noise. Harris is not president. Trump is. And if you don't like him 12 years ago, you don't like him now. And I get it. I completely get it. But that's not the issue. Let's talk about the situation here. Reciprocal tariffs that have been put in place, they're basically ours for some country. We've got 60 countries on the list. Already, you've heard from Thailand, Cambodia, the EU, and Senator Kenney in Louisiana calling for zero tariffs between Canada and the United States. The whole point is it's a negotiation. And if you can get to zero tariffs, that's the best outcome. That's called free trade. That's 50% of why these tariffs are put on. So I'd argue to you, yeah, I hate volatility. I don't like it when the market corrects, but the market corrects all the time. And it generally goes down 15 to 20%. It's proven over 100 years plus. It's a great buying opportunity. And we just got the jobs numbers. The economy is just fine. Now, maybe you don't like watching sausage being made. Obviously, Trump doesn't care. He's an unusual character that way. A lot of these negotiations are done in private quarters. Trump doesn't care. You saw the first of that with Lewinsky. That's just the way he operates. So I don't care about the noise. I care about the outcome.
It's funny that he was using the phrase, we need to pay attention to the signal, not the noise, when his audio is really noisy. Now, I have absolutely no proof that CNN sabotaged him, but with a major TV studio, a major TV network like CNN, they have so many producers. So before Kevin O'Leary even gets on air, there's someone behind the scenes checking out his audio. I have a really hard time believing. Look, I saw some theories that maybe it was his lapel microphone rubbing against his tie. But if that was the case, wouldn't that have happened? Wouldn't those issues have made themselves known during the audio check before he even appeared on TV? Like, it was just really interesting that right as he was coming to defend Trump's tariffs, all of a sudden we have a lot of noise distracting from the signal. It is very possible that it was just the tie, but the timing is more than just a little suspect. And as I've covered in previous videos, CNN does have a history of manipulating their feeds to make people they don't like appear worse than they actually do. The best example of that is during COVID, when CNN aired footage of Joe Rogan and they clearly color manipulated him to make him look sickly and just unattractive. And then on Liberation Day itself, CNN was credibly accused of putting an orange filter on President Trump. But anyways, cutting through all the noise to focus on the signal, Kevin O'Leary was 100% right in that the goal of these tariffs, or at least the large goal, is to bring countries to the negotiating table, to get them to either renegotiate their tariffs or to get rid of them completely so we have true free trade. And by all appearances, it appears to be working so far. So according to Reuters, Taiwan eyes zero tariffs with U.S., pledges more investment. And yes, that is not just investment in Taiwan, but investment in the United States itself. This is huge news because Taiwan is the world's leader by a large mile, it's not even close, of semiconductor chips. I mean, these chips are so crucial for modern technology, from vehicles to televisions to laptops to smartphones to warplanes. Like, it is so critical that we develop these chips here in the United States, and hopefully these tariffs will be a way to sort of jumpstart that process, get more innovation and more investments here stateside so that we're not relying on foreign countries. Speaking of COVID, I think if anything, the pandemic should have opened our eyes to, yeah, interconnectedness is great and there are so many benefits to that, but a ton of the shortages were because of the imports coming from overseas. All it takes is one country deciding to change their mind or another global catastrophe. It doesn't even have to be a pandemic, but so many of the shortages were because I don't know if you guys remember, but it was the shipping ports, right? That they were shut down, and all the imports that were stuck on those massive ships, and then they were only allowed to the ports like one at a time, and there were so many restrictions. I mean, it's not just COVID. All it takes, like I said, is let's say there's a world war, God forbid. And different countries, as they do, make different alliances. All it takes is a country that we rely on, say China. China makes so much of our medicine today. Do we really? It is mind-boggling to me that we're okay with the vast majority of our medicine being made in China. Personally, I know I can't speak for everyone, but personally, I would rather pay a few cents more, a few dollars more for Tylenol for it to be made here in the States and not have to worry about geopolitical relations or anything like that. And it's not just Tylenol. It's something like 95% of ibuprofen is actually imported to the United States from China. So I think it's crazy that something as critical as medicine isn't even made here. Now, it's not just Taiwan. According to the Associated Press, Argentina's Milei doubles down on Trump bromance as the world reels from trade shock. Now, they buried the lead here because deep in the article, they finally admit that the goal of Argentina is to get to a free trade agreement, basically bring their tariffs down to zero, because if they bring it down to zero, then it cancels out, right? Because Trump's tariffs are reciprocal tariffs. And according to one of Trump's top economic advisors, apparently over 50 countries now have called the White House since Liberation Day and begun the process of negotiating new deals.
I got a report from the USTR last night that more than 50 countries have reached out to the president to begin a negotiation. But they're doing that because they understand that they bear a lot of the tariff. And so I don't think that you're going to see a big effect on the consumer in the U.S. because I do think that the reason why we have a persistent long-run trade deficit is these people have very inelastic supply. They've been dumping goods into the country in order to create jobs, say, in China.
Yeah, and it wasn't just him. Howard Lutnick also appeared on multiple programs, including Face the Nation on CBS, and he talked what I just talked about medicine and how it's important that medicine, and not just medicine, but obviously other items such as our electronics and, again, those semiconductor chips are made here stateside.
You've got to realize this is a national security issue. I mean, we don't make medicine in this country anymore. We don't make ships. We don't have enough steel and aluminum to fight a battle. Right? All our semiconductors are made overseas, so every button we press when we try to start our car or even use our microwave, these are all semiconductors. They're all made elsewhere. We've got to start to protect ourselves, and we've got to stop having all the countries of the world ripping us off. We have a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, and the rest of the world has a surplus with us. They're earning our money. They're taking our money.
Right.
And Donald Trump has seen this, and he's going to stop it. So it is going to be a big change. Of course it's going to be a big change, but the rest of the world has been ripping us off for all these many years. Donald Trump has seen it. He's spoken about it.
I understand
and he's just not going to take it anymore, and that's his model.
It is a big change, but what is funny here is that President Trump has been consistent about this. He's been talking about tariffs for 40 years. There's footage of him appearing on Oprah before he was even a reality star on, The Celebrity Apprentice and The Apprentice and all of that. But back in the 90s and the 80s, he was already talking about tariffs. He's been incredibly consistent about it. It's not as if he's a politician and just following the flow of the crowd and just saying things to be popular. It appears that this is similar to the border, one of Trump's true convictions. And no matter what you think about the policy, no matter what you think about him, I at least have respect for the fact that he's sticking true to his conviction and he's not being swayed by all of the pressure. Personally, obviously, I support and agree with the tariffs. So, take all of that with a grain of salt. But I do think, look, if tariffs didn't work, I think it is a fair question to ask. Why do all the other countries use tariffs against us? Why is it okay for other countries to put tariffs on our goods? And for us, it's all of a sudden the end of the world. It is such a grave sin if we do the same. And like I've been saying, these tariffs are reciprocal tariffs. It's not as if we're hitting them with what they're doing to us. It is, basically half the rate going back. So I personally don't get that. But Howard Lutnick had more to say, and I think this puts it into even better perspective.
The point is you need to reset the power of the United States of America and reset it against all our allies and our enemies alike. The idea that all the countries of the world can run trade surpluses with America and buy our things with us. Remember, $1.2 trillion. In 1980, we were a net investor, meaning we owned more of the rest of the world than they owned of us.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's a different market.
And now they own $18 trillion of us net. So that means the rest of the world, every year when we run a $1.2 trillion deficit, the rest of the world buys $1.2 trillion of America, and it goes up and up and up. And eventually, we're not going to own America, and we are going to be owned by the rest of the world. Imagine if we had a war and we can't build a ship, we can't fly a plane, we can't build our own planes, we don't have our own semiconductors. This is what the president is here to fix for America. It's in his hands, and he wants to fix America. This is his chance to fix America, and we need him to fix it for our children and our grandchildren.
Also, you don't even need a crisis for there to be shortages right now. This isn't like widely reported, but we actually have ammunition shortages, missile shortages, bomb shortages, because we've given so much to Ukraine, and we don't have the manpower, we don't have the supplies, the raw material to refill our inventory. It is absolutely like not only have we given Ukraine billions of dollars, but we've actually sent arms overseas. And we've put ourselves at a disadvantage because of that. And I think that's why so many people are fed up with the system, fed up with the establishment, fed up with the uniparty and the war machine. And that's why President Trump is getting the support he's getting. Now, in my previous video, someone asked me to comment on the stock market because, yeah, it is scary that the stocks are in the red, futures are looking down. But, you know, as I've been very open saying on the channel, number one, I've long believed that stocks have been overvalued and they were due for a correction at some point. I don't think that this, you know, created a correction when there wasn't going to be one. I think that maybe it accelerated the point of it coming, but I don't think it's going to be worse than it already is. Second of all, historically, the stock market has always recovered. I get that past performance is not a guarantee of future performance, but it is a good, reliable, look, I would never bet against American ingenuity or the American worker. And that's what the stock market is supposed to represent, right? Third, the stock market, Wall Street, is not the same thing as Main Street. And so just because the stock market is bleeding doesn't mean we're all going to be affected immediately. And yes, it will affect retirees, but hopefully when you're close to retirement age, one of the charts that's always been shown to me in my early 20s is that the younger you are and the more risk you're able to take, the more you should have in stocks. And the older you get, the closer you get to retirement and the less risk you're able to have, you lean more towards bonds or target date funds or CDs. And so I think it's unfair to use the stock market as the only barometer of success. Let's not forget about the employment numbers. More jobs. It was, 87,000 more jobs were created in March than was expected. You take the highest estimate of job growth in March, and we exceeded the highest estimate by 87,000. That is a great starting point. And so, you know, it's not just that. It's also the goal here. This is from Real Clear Politics in 2024. The total value of U.S. imports was just over $4 trillion. So even if Trump's tariffs cut that figure dramatically, if, say, U.S. imports are reduced to just $3 trillion, so a 25% decline, a 3% tariff on the remainder would still raise $90 billion a year, offsetting much of the budget quote-unquote cost of extending Trump's famous 2017 tax cuts. So essentially, Trump could make his tax cuts permanent and still pay for that, basically not add to the deficit through these tariffs. And that 3% is obviously lower than the baseline 10% or the reciprocal 50% across the board. Two more clips I want to show you before we wrap up today's video. But first, I want to give a shout out to today's Governors Club member, Jenny Renkin. Thank you so much. Again, Governors Club, these are people who have done super thanks or have otherwise supported the channel. I appreciate all of you, and I am so glad you enjoy the channel. Now, over on CNN, Jake Tapper actually gave a bit of truth before he told a massive lie. But hey, a broken clock, even a broken clock is right twice a day. But Jake Tapper admitted on live TV as he was pressing Minnesota governor, failed vice presidential candidate Tim Walz, on tariffs. Apparently, UAW, the United Auto Workers Union, supports President Trump's tariffs because they believe that this will bring automobile manufacturing back to the United States.
President Trump argues that these tariffs are needed to bring American manufacturing back and to help American workers left behind in places like Minnesota. He has support from the UAW. The UAW called his auto tariffs, quote, a long overdue shift away from a harmful economic framework that has devastated the working class. It signals a return to policies that prioritize the workers who build this country rather than the greed of ruthless corporations, unquote.
And that's why the Democrats, especially auto workers and all the unions, quite frankly, used to massively support the Democrats. It was the Democrats, actually, who were really pro-tariff. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and all of a sudden, once Trump does it, the sky is falling. I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen, but I think that's what makes it exciting, because what has clearly been the status quo has clearly not been working. And I think it's time to try something new. And as President Trump is encouraging everyone to hang in there and be tough, because I do believe in my heart of hearts that this short-term economic pain and turmoil is just tilling the ground for future growth and investments. Now, as I said earlier, Jake Tapper did say a big lie. Brooke Rollins from the Trump administration appeared on his show, and he tried to claim with a straight face that, oh, no, he's not a leftist. He's not an activist. He's just a middle-of-the-line neutral reporter.
You've got 2 days of data. Everyone, especially on your side, on the left, is freaking out.
I'm not on the left.
But at the end of the day, listen, this whole concept, all right, Jake, thank you. This whole concept is about rebuilding an American economy around American good.
All right, Jake, thank you. I mean, Jake, let's not forget, Jake Tapper is the same correspondent who is now releasing a book talking about the media cover-up of Joe Biden's so obvious cognitive decline. I mean, none of us, I'm assuming none of us, maybe like 0.001% of you watching this have actually met Joe Biden in person. But like, we never met the man in person. We never got to see him behind closed doors. But it was so obvious from like 2 miles, 10 from a solar system away, that Joe Biden was not cognitively fit to be president, and yet the media wants to pretend, oh, we were bamboozled and the administration, they just covered it up. Yeah, right. The only reason they were able to get away with the cover-up, Jake Tapper, is because you are a leftist and you played along with it. Okay, so let's just drop the act, please. As always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That is what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So, going back to the original topic of the video, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary's noisy interview on CNN. What do you think? Do you think that was sabotage by the sound guy over at CNN, or do you think it was just an innocent mistake, just unfortunate timing, the lapel rubbing against his tie? Let me know your thoughts on what you think happened there. I can honestly see it either way. I just have a hard time believing that they went through his sound check, making sure all of his connections were stable and that they were able to receive him, and somehow they missed that. It's possible, but, with CNN's history, personally, I would not be surprised if it was foul play. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I wonder if it's going to do the fireworks again. No, not today. It did in the last video. Oh, there we go. And be sure to give me a thumbs up. It really does help me in the algorithm. I haven't played with it since the last video, so maybe that'll be the new thing now. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos. No fireworks.